We're in Revelations chapter 7, verse 4. It says, "And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel." We see who is marked and how many. 144,000, all of who are specifically Jewish, because it says children of Israel, and those are the Jews. Now, I've got a friend whose wife was raised Jewish. I believe she still does follow a lot of the teachings. I'm not sure exactly how much, but I figured if I'm going to ask a question about the Jewish lineages and all, that's probably who I should ask first, since I know somebody. So I asked her, "Do you know if the Jews still trace their lineage by tribe?" Because it says of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Her answer was that as far as she knew, basically only for holiday purposes such as the Levites for their duties. And so I started looking up online just to see if I could find any more information as to why. And it turns out that almost all evidence of tribal lineage was destroyed during the exile. Those who could still trace their lineage, a lot of them lost their lineage proofs during the Nazi portion of Germany during the World Wars. So lineage by tribe is basically not followed very much anymore. There are still quite a few who belong to Judah who can still trace and prove their lineage, and a few Levites can honestly prove it. But most Jewish groups just let anyone who claims to be a Levite accept the post. Sorry, my throat's still getting over it. We know, however, that in the New Kingdom, only actual Levites will be permitted to make the sacrifices. So the question comes up, well, how will they know who is a Levite and who isn't? Sure, we could do as is now. Let everyone who claims to be one try and do it. Watch them get struck down, and if they were, yay! If they were struck down, well, we don't have to worry about that now. It's possible that when they're sealed, they will know which tribe they belong to. But there's only one seal mentioned, not 12 different seals. But I believe it was in 2014 that a new genetic discovery was made, and it's the Kohanim gene. Groups of men claiming to be Levites or Kohanim were tested, and their genes were poured over to see if there was any genetic marker that could be established. Because the Jews passed down their heritage through females, but the Kohanim were only males and could only be passed down by the father. So genetically speaking, any true Kohanim would have to have a similar marking passed down through the Y gene that could only come from the father. It's a good theory. And sure enough, there is one section of the genome that is nearly identical in every single one of them that became the Kohanim gene. And that is possibly the proof that will be required to serve as a Levitical priest during the next earthly kingdom. But on to the list of tribes. I just thought it was really cool that there is a possible genetic marker for being able to figure out, well, how are we going to know who the Kohanim are? So starting in verse 5, we've got the list of the tribes. Verses 5 through 8, I believe it is. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Gad sealed 12,000. The tribe of Aser was sealed 12,000. Nephthalim, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. There is one tribe, however, that's missing. Because, well, honestly, there's technically 13 tribes, but there's 12 tribes. It's the tribe of Dan, if you'll recall, was removed from the 12 tribes as they were the first to fall to idols in Judges 17 and 18. But interestingly enough, in the last chapter of Ezekiel, where it describes the 12 gates of the temple, Manasseh, which replaces Dan here in Revelations chapter 7, is replaced with the tribe of Dan, who was originally to receive the inheritance. So Manasseh is just kind of a placeholder for the tribe of Dan, which is really kind of interesting that Dan is going to be restored in the new kingdom, according to the book of Ezekiel. So verse 9 says, "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, after all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands." We again see meta, and this is again accusative, so this occurs after the sealing. There is a number of people so great that nobody could count them from everywhere, but they are all wearing the same clothing and doing the same thing. The key aspect here, I feel, is the white robes, because the white robe is a specific gift that we've seen twice now in Revelation. We saw it given to the souls under the altar who stood for Christ, and to the church at Sardis, for those who held fast to the word of God and do things for the right reasons, as we saw in Revelations 3, verses 1 through 6. For this to occur from other nations and people shows further proof that the letters to the 7 churches are not solely to the individual church. Otherwise, only people from Sardis then would be present in these garments. We've got a few more verses here. We've got 5. So we'll pick up the last 5 verses with the next one, seeing what is going on with these people that are clothed in white.